Hello to everyone tuning in. Just a quick start. It's a fun idea if you share where you're listening from. Thanks, like and subscribe, and let's get comfortable and start the fun. The cold tiles of the courthouse floor echo with each step I take. My shoes scuff against the marble, a sound that seems deafening in the otherwise silent hallway. I've been pacing for what feels like hours, but the clock on the wall tells me it's only been minutes. My heart is pounding, each beat a reminder of why I'm here. This isn't how it was supposed to be. This isn't how our story was supposed to end. I stop and lean against the wall, the cool surface pressing into my back. I close my eyes, trying to block out the nausea that's threatening to rise again. I can't afford to be weak now. Not here, not today. But the memories keep flooding back, pulling me under. I think about Lana, about her smile, the way she used to laugh at my terrible jokes. God, I loved her. Still do, maybe. But love isn't enough anymore. It's not even close. I was just an ordinary guy, doing the best I could. Work kept me busy, maybe too busy, but I thought we were okay. We had our routines, our little rituals that made us, us. Saturday morning coffee, walks in the park, late night movies on the couch. But somewhere along the way, something shifted. She started pulling away, and I didn't see it. Didn't want to see it. I shake my head, forcing myself to stay in the present. But the past won't let go. I remember the first time I noticed the change. She'd become distant, her eyes always somewhere else, her touch colder. I asked her about it once, and she smiled. That same beautiful smile that used to light up my world. She said everything was fine, that I was just overthinking. I believed her because I wanted to. I needed to. But the signs were there, weren't they? The late nights, the hushed phone calls, the sudden disinterest in our life together. I buried myself in work, telling myself that this was just a phase, that we'd get through it like we always did. I was wrong. The door at the end of the hallway creaks open, and I see my lawyer motioning for me. It's time. I push myself off the wall, trying to steady my breathing, but my legs feel like lead. As I walk towards the door, the image of Lana's face the night I found out flashes before me, her eyes wide with shock, then guilt, then something else I couldn't quite place. Relief, maybe? That night changed everything. I thought I knew what pain was, but nothing prepared me for the gut-wrenching agony of betrayal. Finding those messages, seeing the explicit details of what she'd done with someone else, it broke something inside me. And now as I step into the courtroom, I know that nothing will ever be the same again. This is the beginning of the end. It's late, and the house is quiet. Lana is in the shower and I'm in our bedroom, sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at her phone on the nightstand. I shouldn't be doing this. I know it's wrong, but something has been gnawing at me for weeks. It's a feeling I can't shake, a knot in my stomach that tightens every time she smiles at me with those lips that used to make me feel like the luckiest man in the world. But lately her smile has felt distant, like she's somewhere else entirely. My hand trembles as I reach for the phone. It's not locked. It never is. She trusts me, or maybe she's just careless. My heart pounds in my chest as I scroll through her messages, telling myself it's just paranoia, that I'm being ridiculous. But then I see it, a thread of messages with a name I don't recognize. I click on it and my world stops. The words on the screen blur as I read them, my hands shaking so hard I can barely hold the phone. The messages are explicit, leaving no room for misinterpretation. There are photos, too, things I wish I could unsee. My breath catches in my throat, and a wave of nausea washes over me. This can't be real. It has to be some kind of mistake. I hear the water stop in the bathroom. Panic surges through me, and I quickly put the phone back where I found it, trying to act like nothing's happened. But I can't unsee what I've seen. The words, the images, they're burned into my brain. The woman I thought I knew, the woman I loved, has been betraying me in the most intimate way possible. My hands clench into fists, and I feel a white-hot rage boiling up inside me. The bathroom door opens, and Lana steps out, wrapped in a towel, her hair wet and clinging to her shoulders. She looks at me and smiles. That same smile that used to melt my heart. But now all I feel is disgust. "Hey, babe," she says casually, as if everything is normal, as if she hasn't just torn my world apart. I can't keep it in any longer. "Who the hell is he, Lana?" She freezes, her eyes wide with surprise. "What are you talking about?" "Don't play dumb with me," I snap, my voice rising. "I saw the messages. I saw everything." Her face drains of color, and she stumbles back, gripping the towel tighter around her. I, I can explain." "Explain?" I laugh, but it's a cold, bitter sound. "Explain how you've been screwing some other guy behind my back? How you've been lying to me every day?" Tears well up in her eyes, and she shakes her head, stepping toward me. "It's not what you think. It was a mistake, I swear. It didn't mean anything. Didn't mean anything." I can't believe what I'm hearing. "You think that makes it better? You think that erases what you did?" She's crying now, her face crumpling as she pleads with me. "Please, just let me explain. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to hurt you. It just, it just happened." My mind is spinning, my emotions a chaotic mess. I want to scream at her, to shake her, to make her understand the pain she's caused. But all I can do is stand there, numb and broken. "How long?" I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. "What?" she asks, her voice trembling. "How long has this been going on, Lana? How long have you been lying to me?" She hesitates, and in that moment, I already know the answer is going to destroy me even more. "A few months," she admits, her voice so soft I almost don't hear it. "A few months." I feel like I've been punched in the gut. All those nights when I thought she was tired, when I thought she was just stressed from work, she was with him, some faceless man who's taken what's mine. "Who is he?" I demand. "Who's the guy you threw our marriage away for?" She hesitates again, and that hesitation is all the answer I need. "It's someone I know, someone close." My head swims with possibilities, each one worse than the last. "It doesn't matter," she finally says, but I can see the truth in her eyes. She's hiding something. No, someone from me. "It matters to me," I growl. "Tell me who he is." She looks down, her tears falling onto the carpet. "It's not important. He doesn't mean anything to me, I swear. But he means something to me. Whoever this bastard is, he's destroyed my life. And I won't stop until I know who he is. But first, I need to figure out what the hell I'm going to do." Part of me wants to kick her out right now, to never see her face again. But another part of me, a part I'm ashamed to admit exists, still loves her, still wants to believe we can fix this. "Why, Lana?" I ask, my voice breaking. "Why would you do this to me?" She looks up at me, her eyes filled with guilt and sorrow. "I don't know. I wasn't thinking. I was lonely and you were always working. I know that's not an excuse, but I needed something." "Something?" I repeat, my voice laced with bitterness. "And you couldn't come to me? You couldn't tell me you were unhappy? You had to go and fuck someone else instead?" She flinches at my words, and I almost regret saying them. Almost. "I'm sorry," she whispers, but the words mean nothing now. They're just empty sounds in the void that's opened up between us. I turn away from her, unable to look at her any longer. "I can't do this right now. I need to think." She doesn't say anything, and I hear her footsteps as she walks out of the room, leaving me alone with my thoughts, my anger, and my shattered heart. For a long time, I just stand there, staring at nothing, trying to process what's happened. My mind is a whirlwind of emotions, rage, betrayal, heartbreak, but there's something else too, something that scares me more than anything. Doubt. Doubt about what this means for us. Doubt about whether I can ever trust her again. Doubt about whether I even want to. The next few days pass in a blur. The next few days pass in. I go through the motions of life, but nothing feels real. Lana tries to talk to me, but I shut her out. I can't look at her without seeing those messages, without imagining her with him. I start drinking more than I should, trying to numb the pain, but it doesn't work. Nothing does. One night after too many drinks, I find myself sitting in front of her laptop. She's gone to bed and I'm alone in the living room. The house dark and silent. My hands move on their own, opening the laptop, logging into her email. I tell myself I'm looking for answers, for some kind of explanation that will make this make sense. But deep down, I know I'm looking for more reasons to hate her. And I find them. Emails, photos, plans they made together. Every click of the mouse is another dagger in my heart. The more I read, the more I realize how deep this goes. This wasn't just a fling. They had a relationship. They talked about a future together, about running away, about leaving me behind like some discarded piece of trash. My vision blurs with tears and rage as I slam the laptop shut. I can't take it anymore. The woman I loved is gone, replaced by someone I don't recognize. Someone who would betray me so completely. I stumble to the bedroom, where she's sleeping peacefully, as if nothing's wrong. The sight of her lying there, so calm, so untroubled, makes something inside me snap. I grab her by the shoulders and shake her awake. "Get up!" I hiss, my voice shaking with anger. "Get up and face what you've done!" She wakes with a start, her eyes wide with fear. "What are you doing?" "I know everything," I say, my voice a low, dangerous growl. "I know about your plans, your little fantasy of a life without me. You think I'm just going to let you walk away? You think I'm going to let you destroy everything we built together?" She's trembling now, her eyes filling with tears. "Please, I never meant for it to go this far." "But it did, didn't it?" I cut her off. "It went far enough that you're ready to throw me away like I'm nothing." "I'm sorry," she cries, but I don't want to hear it. I can't listen to her lies anymore. "You're not leaving me," I say, my voice cold and final. "You're not running off with him. I won't let you." She sobs, burying her face in her hands, but I'm too far gone to care. The man I was, the man who would have done anything for her, is gone. All that's left is this burning need for retribution, for justice. "I don't know what I'm going to do," I say, stepping back from the bed, "but I promise you this, Lana. You're going to pay for what you've done." I turn and walk out of the room, leaving her sobbing in the darkness. My mind races with thoughts of revenge, of making her suffer as much as she's made me suffer. But there's also a part of me, a small, broken part, that wonders if I can ever forgive her, if there's any way back from this abyss. But I can't think about that now. All I can think about is the pain, the betrayal, and the need to make it stop. And I know deep down that nothing will ever be the same again. I try to save what's left of our marriage. I suggest therapy, thinking that maybe we can fix what's broken. But Lana refuses. She looks at me with those same tearful eyes, shaking her head as if the very idea is too painful to consider. "It's too late," she says, her voice barely above a whisper. "We can't go back, not after everything." Her words hit me like a sledgehammer. I thought maybe, just maybe, we could find a way through this. But her rejection confirms my worst fear. She's already given up. The woman I married, the woman I've loved for years, is gone, replaced by someone I don't recognize. In the days that follow, my paranoia grows. I start to question everything she's ever said, every late night, every secretive glance. I can't sleep, can't eat. My mind is consumed by thoughts of her with him. Who is he? Why him? Why not me? The questions gnaw at me like a disease, festering in my mind until I can't think of anything else. I start digging. I go through her phone again, her emails, her social media accounts, looking for any clue that might explain why she did this. The more I search, the more I uncover lies, deceit, things that make my blood boil. She's been hiding so much from me, things I never would have imagined. Every new discovery feels like another knife in my back, twisting deeper, cutting me apart. And then I find him. His name is Greg. Greg isn't just some random guy. He's someone I know, someone I considered a friend. We've worked together for years, shared drinks, laughed together. The betrayal is deeper than I ever imagined. It's not just Lana who's betrayed me, it's him too. My anger intensifies, a dark, seething rage that I can barely contain. How could they do this to me? How could they look me in the eye, shake my hand, and pretend everything was normal while they were sleeping together behind my back? I confront Lana with this new information, expecting her to deny it, to try to wriggle out of the situation. But she doesn't. She just looks at me with those same sad eyes and says nothing, confirming everything without a single word. It's like she's resigned to her fate, like she's been waiting for this moment. "You've been planning this, haven't you?" I accuse her, my voice shaking with rage. "You and Greg, you've been planning to leave me." She says nothing, just looks down at her hands, her silence more damning than any confession. I want to scream, to shake her, to make her tell me why, but I know it won't change anything. The damage is done. The life we built together is gone, and there's nothing I can do to bring it back. I start to lose control. My thoughts become darker, more violent. I imagine what I'd do if I had Greg in front of me, how I'd make him pay for what he's done. The images are vivid, brutal, and they scare me because I know I'm capable of them. I can feel myself slipping, teetering on the edge of something I can't come back from. But then I find something that pushes me over that edge. A secret bank account hidden away, with large sums of money being siphoned out of our joint accounts. It's clear now, Lana's been planning to leave me for good, to start a new life with Greg. The thought of her walking away from me, taking everything we built together, makes me see red. I confront her again, this time with the bank statements in hand. "You were going to leave me, weren't you? You were going to take everything and just walk away." She doesn't deny it. She just looks at me with those same hollow eyes and says, "I'm sorry." "Sorry?" I laugh bitterly. "You're sorry? You've destroyed our marriage, betrayed me in the worst possible way, and all you can say is, 'I'm sorry'?" She flinches at my words but doesn't respond. Her silence is maddening, infuriating. I feel like I'm losing my mind, like nothing makes sense anymore. How did we get here? How did the woman I love become this stranger in front of me? "I can't do this anymore," I finally say, my voice breaking. "I can't keep pretending like we can fix this. Like you haven't already made your choice?" She nods, a single tear sliding down her cheek. "I never wanted to hurt you," she whispers. "Then why did you?" I ask, my voice cracking. "Why did you do this to us?" She doesn't answer. She just stands there looking lost, broken. I want to hate her, but all I feel is this crushing sense of loss, of something precious slipping through my fingers, and I'm powerless to stop it. That night I can't sleep. I lie awake in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. The thoughts of revenge, of retribution, consume me. I can't let her get away with this. I can't let them get away with this. They need to pay. But as much as I fantasize about making them suffer, a part of me knows that's not the answer. That's not who I am, who I want to be. But what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to move on from this? To rebuild my life when everything I've ever known has been ripped apart? The next morning, I wake up with a pounding headache, the remnants of too much alcohol and too little sleep. Lana is already gone, her side of the bed cold and empty. I don't know where she's gone, and for a moment I panic, thinking she's left me for good. But then I see her suitcase still in the closet, her clothes hanging where they always do, and I realize she's just gone out. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters anymore. My life is in shambles and I don't know how to put the pieces back together. I decide to take matters into my own hands. I start tracking Lana's movements, following her whenever she leaves the house. I need to know where she goes, who she sees. My paranoia has taken over completely, driving me to do things I never thought I was capable of. I start staking out her office, waiting for her after work, hoping to catch a glimpse of her with Greg. And then I do. I see them together, standing too close, talking in hushed tones. I feel the blood rush to my head, my vision narrowing as I watch them. They're planning something, I know it. They're planning to run away together, to leave me behind like yesterday's garbage. I start considering extreme measures, dark thoughts that scare even me. What if I confronted them right now? What if I made them pay for everything they've done to me? The idea lingers, festering in my mind, growing darker with each passing day. But something holds me back. A small, fragile part of me that still remembers who I am, who I used to be before all this happened. I don't want to be that person, the one who lets anger and hatred consume him. But the pull is strong, almost irresistible. The breaking point comes when I find a one-way ticket to another city hidden in Lana's drawer. She's planning to leave, to disappear without a trace. My heart races as I hold the ticket in my hand, the final confirmation of her betrayal. She was never going to stay. She was never going to try to make things right. She's done with me, and she's planning to leave me behind. I can't take it anymore. The rage, the pain, the sense of betrayal, it all boils over. I confront her one last time, and this time, there's no holding back. I demand answers, demand to know why she's doing this, why she's leaving me. But she just looks at me with those same sad eyes and says, I have to go. I can't stay here anymore. Her words are like a knife to the heart. I feel the last shred of hope slip away, replaced by a cold, dark emptiness. She's really going to leave me. She's really going to walk away from everything we've built together, everything we've shared. And there's nothing I can do to stop her. As she walks out the door, suitcase in hand, I feel like a part of me is dying. The life we had, the love we shared, it's all gone, replaced by this hollow, aching void. I don't know how to move on from this, how to rebuild my life when everything I've ever known has been destroyed. I'm left standing in the empty house, alone with my thoughts, my anger, and my broken heart. The future stretches out before me, dark and uncertain, and I have no idea how I'm going to survive it. But one thing is clear, nothing will ever be the same again. I'm sitting in my car, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turn white. I'm parked outside Greg's office building, waiting. My heart races as I replay everything in my mind. The betrayal, the lies, the way Lana just walked out without looking back. I shouldn't be here. I know that, but I can't help it. I need to confront him, to see the look in his eyes when he realizes I know everything. Minutes stretch into hours, but I don't move. The tension inside me is like a coiled spring, ready to snap at any moment. When I finally see him, my pulse quickens. He steps out of the building, looking as if nothing's wrong, as if he hasn't just destroyed my life. The sight of him, so calm, so untroubled, fills me with a rage I can barely contain. I get out of the car, my legs shaking with adrenaline. He doesn't see me at first, but when he does, he stops dead in his tracks. His eyes widen with recognition, then quickly narrow with something else. Fear, good. He should be afraid. Greg, I say, my voice cold, devoid of emotion. Mark, he replies, trying to sound calm, but I can hear the tremor in his voice. What are you doing here? I take a step closer, closing the distance between us. We need to talk. His eyes dart around, looking for an escape, but there's none. I'm blocking his path, and he knows it. I don't think this is a good idea, he says, trying to back away. Too bad, I snap. We're talking. Now. He swallows hard, and I can see the sweat starting to bead on his forehead. Look, I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I swear, Mark. It just happened. Bullshit, I hiss, my anger finally breaking through. You didn't just happen to sleep with my wife. You didn't just happen to ruin my life. He holds up his hands in a placating gesture. I'm sorry, okay? I know I messed up, but nothing, I cut him off. You knew exactly what you were doing. You betrayed me. You betrayed our friendship. And now you're going to pay for it. His eyes widen in alarm as he realizes I'm not here just to talk. Mark, please, let's just calm down and talk about this rationally. Rationally? I laugh bitterly. You think I'm going to be rational after everything you've done? He's backing up now, his eyes darting around for help. I'm sorry, okay? I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. Make this right? I spit the words at him. You can't make this right. You've destroyed everything. I take another step closer, and he stumbles back, nearly tripping over his own feet. Please, Mark, he begs, his voice trembling. I didn't want to hurt you. But you did, I say, my voice low and menacing. And now you're going to feel what it's like to lose everything. For a moment, I'm tempted to lash out, to hurt him the way he's hurt me. My hands clench into fists, and I can feel the rage boiling inside me, demanding release. But then something stops me. A voice in the back of my mind, faint but insistent, telling me this isn't the way. I step back, my breath coming in ragged gasps. Greg is trembling, his face pale with fear. I can see the relief in his eyes when he realizes I'm not going to hit him, but that only makes me angrier. You're not worth it, I say, my voice thick with disgust. You're not worth ruining my life over. I turn and walk away, leaving him standing there, shaken and afraid. My heart is pounding, my mind racing with what just happened. I came so close to crossing a line I know I can't come back from, but I didn't. I stopped myself, and as I drive away, I know I made the right choice. But that doesn't make the pain go away. If anything, it makes it worse, knowing that no matter what I do, I can't undo what's been done. When I get home, the house is dark and empty. Lana's things are still here, but she isn't. She's gone, and I have no idea where she is or if she's coming back. The silence is deafening, and I feel a wave of loneliness crash over me, so intense it almost brings me to my knees. I pour myself a drink, then another, trying to drown the pain. But it doesn't help. It never does. I stumble to the bedroom, collapsing onto the bed, her scent still lingering on the sheets. I bury my face in the pillow, trying to hold on to some part of her, but all I feel is the crushing weight of her absence. Sleep doesn't come easily, and when it does, it's filled with nightmares. I see her with him, laughing, smiling, while I'm left alone, broken. I wake up in a cold sweat, the sheets tangled around me, my heart racing. The dream lingers, a constant reminder of everything I've lost. Days pass in a blur. I go through the motions, but nothing feels real. I'm like a ghost, drifting through the remnants of my life, unable to move on. I start drinking more, trying to numb the pain, but it only makes things worse. The darkness inside me grows, threatening to consume me. But then, one night, as I'm sitting alone in the dark, something inside me snaps. I can't keep doing this. I can't keep letting her and Greg control my life, my emotions. I need to take control. I need to do something, anything to stop this spiral. I make a decision. I'm going to confront Lana. I'm going to find out why she did this, why she chose him over me. I need answers, and I'm not going to rest until I get them. I call her, my hands trembling as I hold the phone to my ear. It rings, and for a moment, I think she won't answer. But then I hear her voice, soft and hesitant. "Mark, we need to talk," I say, my voice tight with barely suppressed emotion. She's silent for a moment, then she sighs. "Okay, where?" "At the house," I say. "In an hour." She hesitates. "Are you sure that's a good idea?" "Just be there," I snap, then hang up before she can say anything else. An hour later, she arrives. She looks different, thinner, more tired. She's wearing a simple dress, something she used to wear when we were happy, when everything was still okay. Seeing her like this, so familiar yet so distant, twists the knife in my heart. "Mark," she begins, but I cut her off. "Why, Lana?" I demand, my voice trembling with anger. "Why did you do this to us?" She looks down, her hands twisting in her lap. "I don't know," she whispers. "I was unhappy, lonely. You were always working, always distant. I felt forgotten." "Forgotten?" I repeat, incredulous. "So you decided to cheat on me? To destroy our marriage?" Tears fill her eyes and she nods. "I'm sorry. I know I hurt you, and I wish I could take it back, but I can't. I never meant for any of this to happen." I shake my head, unable to process what she's saying. "You could have talked to me, Lana. We could have worked through this, but instead, you turned to him." "I know," she whispers, tears streaming down her face. "I know I made a mistake, but it's too late now." I feel the last bit of resolve slip away. She's right. It's too late. There's nothing left to save. I can't do this anymore, I say, my voice breaking. I can't keep pretending like we can fix this. She looks at me, her eyes filled with sadness. What are you saying? I'm saying it's over, I reply, my heart breaking with each word. There's no going back from this. She nods, her tears falling silently. I understand. We sit in silence for what feels like hours, the weight of our decision pressing down on us. There's nothing left to say. We've reached the end, and there's no way to undo the damage that's been done. Finally, she stands up, her movement slow and deliberate. I'll leave, she says softly. I'll pack my things and go. I nod, unable to speak. I watch as she walks out of the room, out of my life, and I feel a sense of finality settle over me. It's over. It's really over. The door closes behind her, and I'm left alone in the silence, the weight of my loss crushing me. I know I made the right choice, but it doesn't make the pain any less real. I've lost the woman I loved, the life we built together, and there's no way to get it back. I sit there for a long time, staring at the empty space where she used to be. The house feels different now, colder, emptier. I feel the tears start to fall, and I don't try to stop them. I let them come, let them wash over me, purging the last remnants of my hope, my love. When the tears finally stop, I feel a strange sense of calm. The storm has passed, and all that's left is the aftermath. I know I'll survive this, but I'll never be the same. This wound will scar, and I'll carry it with me for the rest of my life. But for now, all I can do is sit in the silence, alone with my thoughts, my pain, and the knowledge that nothing will ever be the same again. In the days after Lana leaves, I feel like I'm drifting, lost in a fog of despair. I spend hours staring at the bottom of a whiskey glass, hoping the alcohol will numb the pain, but it only makes things worse. The house is too quiet, too empty. Every creak, every shadow reminds me of her absence, of the life we once had and the gaping hole where it used to be. One night, after too many drinks, I find myself sitting in the dark, the silence pressing down on me like a weight. I can't keep doing this. I can't let this destroy me. I need to do something, anything to regain control of my life. The thought hits me with a sudden clarity. I need to fight. Not just for myself, but for my dignity, for the justice that I deserve. I make the decision right then. I'm going to take Lana and Greg to court. If I can't have my life back, I'm damn well going to make sure they don't get to walk away unscathed. I want them to feel the consequences of what they've done, to pay for the pain they've caused. The next morning, I call a lawyer. His voice is calm, professional, as he asked me to explain the situation. As I recount the details, the anger and hurt come rushing back. But there's something else too, a sense of purpose. This isn't just about revenge, it's about taking back control, about standing up for myself in a way I haven't been able to in months. The lawyer listens patiently, then asks for the evidence I've gathered. The text messages, the emails, the bank statements, everything that proves their betrayal. I hand it over and he nods, assuring me that we have a strong case. His confidence is reassuring, but it doesn't erase the fear gnawing at my gut. This trial will be ugly, and I know it. As the trial date approaches, I start to regain a semblance of control over my life. I cut back on the drinking, focusing instead on preparing for what's to come. I know I need to be strong, not just for myself, but for the outcome I want. I start going to the gym again, working out the anger and frustration in a more productive way. It feels good to move, to sweat, to push my body to its limits. It's a reminder that I'm still here, still fighting. But the pain of losing Lana still lingers. No matter how hard I try to focus on the trial, I can't shake the memories of our life together. The good times, the love we shared, they haunt me, making it hard to stay angry. I catch myself thinking about what might have been if things had been different. If I had noticed the signs earlier, if I had been a better husband. The self-doubt is crippling, but I force myself to push it aside. I can't afford to dwell on the past, not when there's so much at stake. When the trial finally begins, the tension is almost unbearable. I sit in the courtroom, my lawyer by my side as Lana and Greg walk in. They don't look at me, don't acknowledge my presence, and that only fuels my resolve. I'm here to expose them for what they are, to make sure the world knows the truth. The opening statements are brutal. My lawyer doesn't pull any punches, laying out the evidence in stark detail. The affair, the lies, the financial betrayal, it's all laid bare for the court to see. I watch Lana's face as the words hit her, but she remains impassive, her expression unreadable. Greg looks nervous, fidgeting in his seat, but he doesn't say a word. When it's their turn to speak, Lana's lawyer tries to paint a different picture. He talks about the strain on our marriage, about how I was always working, always distant. He implies that Lana was driven to the affair out of loneliness, that I bear some of the blame for what happened. The words sting, but I refuse to let them get to me. I know the truth, and I know what they did was wrong, no matter the circumstances. The cross-examinations are intense. My lawyer tears into Greg, forcing him to admit to the affair, to the secret meetings, to the plans they made to leave me behind. He tries to squirm out of it, but the evidence is too damning. Lana is more composed, but even she can't deny the facts. The texts, the emails, they're all there. A record of her betrayal that she can't escape. As the trial drags on, I start to feel a strange sense of detachment. It's as if I'm watching someone else's life unfold, as if the man sitting in the courtroom isn't really me. I listen to the lawyers argue, to the witnesses testify, but it all feels distant, surreal. I've spent so long consumed by anger and pain that now, in the midst of it all, I feel numb. But then on the final day, something shifts. As the closing arguments are made, I realize that this trial isn't just about exposing Lana and Greg. It's about me, about finding a way to move on, to reclaim my life. The outcome, whatever it may be, will mark the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. And for the first time in months, I feel a glimmer of hope. The verdict comes quickly. The judge rules in my favor, awarding me a substantial settlement. It's a victory, but it feels hollow. I've won, but at what cost? The life I once knew is gone, and no amount of money can bring it back. I leave the courtroom feeling empty, unsure of what comes next. In the weeks that follow, I try to rebuild. I start therapy, knowing I need to confront my demons if I'm ever going to move forward. The sessions are hard, forcing me to face the mistakes I made, the ways I contributed to the breakdown of my marriage. It's painful but necessary. I need to understand what went wrong if I'm going to avoid making the same mistakes again. I also begin to reconnect with friends, people I'd pushed away during the darkest days. They're supportive, helping me through the tough times, reminding me that I'm not alone. It's a slow process, but I start to feel like myself again, like the man I was before everything fell apart. But the road to recovery is long, and there are days when the pain is still too much to bear. I miss Lana, despite everything, and I wonder if I'll ever be able to fully let go of the love we once shared. The memories are a constant reminder of what I've lost, and I know they'll haunt me for a long time to come. Yet amid the sorrow, there's a sense of resolve. I survived the worst of it, and I'm still here. I'm stronger than I was before, more aware of who I am and what I want from life. I know now that I can't change the past, but I can control how I respond to it, how I choose to move forward. As I walk through the city, the sun setting on the horizon, I feel a strange sense of peace. The future is uncertain, but it's also full of possibility. I don't know what lies ahead, but for the first time in a long time, I'm not afraid. I'm ready to face whatever comes next, to start a new chapter in my life. The trial is over, but my journey is just beginning. I've lost a lot, but I've also gained something invaluable. A deeper understanding of myself, of what it means to love and to forgive. And as I take that first step into the unknown, I know I'm not the same man I was before. I'm stronger, wiser, and ready to embrace whatever the future holds. The trial begins, and the tension in the courtroom is thick, almost suffocating. I sit at the plaintiff's table, my lawyer beside me, as Lana and Greg walk in. They avoid my gaze, taking their seats across the room. The air is heavy with the weight of everything that's about to unfold. This is it. This is where the truth comes out, where we lay bare the wreckage of what once was our life together. My lawyer stands first, opening with a detailed account of the betrayal. He doesn't hold back, outlining the affair, the hidden bank accounts, the lies. His voice is calm, measured, as he walks the court through the evidence. The text messages, the emails, the financial records, it's all there, a damning portrait of their deceit. I watch Lana's face as my lawyer speaks. She sits still, expressionless, but I know her well enough to see the tension in her jaw, the slight tremor in her hands. Greg looks worse, shifting uncomfortably in his seat, glancing nervously at the judge. I feel a grim satisfaction watching them squirm. This is what they deserve. When it's their turn, Lana's lawyer steps forward, trying to spin the story in their favor. He talks about the strain on our marriage, how I was distant, consumed by work, how Lana felt isolated and neglected. He paints her as a victim of circumstance, someone who made a mistake but was driven to it by my failures as a husband. The words sting, but I keep my face impassive. I expected this. They're trying to shift the blame onto me, to make it seem like I pushed her into Greg's arms. But I know the truth, and so does the court. My lawyer counters every point, focusing on the choices Lana and Greg made, the deliberate steps they took to deceive and betray me. The cross-examinations are brutal. My lawyer grills Greg, forcing him to admit to the affair, to the secret meetings, to the money they siphoned away. Greg tries to downplay it, to make it seem like a momentary lapse in judgment. But the evidence is overwhelming. He's cornered, and he knows it. I can see the panic in his eyes, the way he struggles to find words that might save him. But there are none. Lana is next. She takes the stand, her face pale, her voice shaky. She tries to explain, to justify what she did, but it all sounds hollow. She talks about the loneliness, the disconnection, how she felt abandoned in our marriage. But none of it changes the fact that she chose to betray me, that she could have come to me, talked to me, but instead she turned to Greg. As she speaks, I feel a strange mix of emotions. Anger, yes, but also a deep, aching sadness. This is the woman I loved, the woman I built a life with, and now she's here, on the stand, trying to explain away the unforgivable. I want to hate her, but all I feel is a profound sense of loss, of something precious that slipped through my fingers. The trial drags on, each day a new wave of emotional turmoil. The courtroom becomes a battleground, where every word, every piece of evidence is a weapon. I sit through it all, a numbness settling over me. I'm here, but I'm also somewhere else, detached, watching my life unravel from a distance. Finally, the closing arguments are made. My lawyer is relentless, driving home the points of betrayal, deception, and theft. He asks the court to see the truth, to hold Lana and Greg accountable for the pain they've caused. Lana's lawyer tries one last time to shift the narrative, to cast doubt, but it's clear to everyone in the room where the fault lies. The judge takes a few days to deliberate. They're the longest days of my life. I barely sleep, my mind racing with thoughts of what the verdict will bring. I try to prepare myself for any outcome, but the uncertainty gnaws at me. What if the judge sides with them? What if, after everything, I'm the one left with nothing? When the day of the verdict finally arrives, I'm a bundle of nerves. I walk into the courtroom, my stomach in knots, my heart pounding in my chest. The judge enters and the room falls silent. Every eye is on him as he opens his folder, reading the decision. The verdict is in my favor. I win the case. Lana and Greg are ordered to pay restitution, the secret accounts are to be disclosed, and the damages awarded to me are significant. It's a victory, but as the judge's gavel falls, sealing the decision, I don't feel the triumph I thought I would. Instead, I feel an overwhelming emptiness, a hollowness that victory can't fill. Lana and Greg look devastated, but they don't say a word. They gather their things and leave the courtroom, not even glancing in my direction. As they walk out, I feel a sense of finality, Like the door to that part of my life is closing for good. With the trial behind me, I try to pick up the pieces. I start therapy in earnest, determined to work through the anger, the hurt, the guilt. The sessions are grueling, forcing me to confront the parts of myself I'd rather ignore, the ways I failed in my marriage, the moments I could have done better, been better. It's painful, but I know it's necessary if I'm ever going to heal. I also begin to rebuild my life, step by step. I reconnect with friends, people I'd pushed away during the worst of it. They're supportive, helping me through the tough times, reminding me that I'm not alone. I start to feel like myself again, like the man I was before everything fell apart, but the scars remain. The affair, the trial, they've left marks that will never fully heal. I carry them with me, a reminder of what I've been through, of what I've lost. There are days when the pain is still fresh, when I catch myself thinking about Lana, about the life we could have had if things had been different. But I push those thoughts aside, knowing they lead nowhere. I know now that the road to recovery is long. It's not a straight path. There are setbacks, moments of doubt, but I keep moving forward. I focus on the future, on what lies ahead, rather than what's behind me. I start setting goals, small ones at first. Getting through a day without thinking about the trial, reconnecting with an old friend, finding joy in something simple like a walk in the park. Each goal met is a victory, a step towards rebuilding the life I want. And slowly I begin to see a new future take shape. It's different from the one I imagined with Lana, but it's mine, built on my terms, with the lessons I've learned guiding me. I'm stronger now, more resilient. I've been through hell, and I've come out the other side, battered but still standing. As I look back on the trial, on everything that led to it, I see it for what it was. A reckoning, a moment where everything came to a head, forcing me to confront the truth about myself, about my marriage, about the man I want to be. It wasn't just about justice. It was about closure, about finding a way to move on, to start anew. With the trial behind me, I begin to rebuild my life piece by piece. I start therapy, determined not to repeat the mistakes of the past. I'm moving forward, but the road to recovery is long. But it's a road I'm ready to walk, one step at a time, towards whatever comes next. It's over. The trial, the arguments, the months of anguish, they've all come to an end. But as I stand outside the courthouse, I don't feel the sense of closure I'd hoped for. Instead, there's an emptiness, a void where I thought victory would be. I look out at the city, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows across the pavement, and I realize that this isn't the end. It's just another beginning. The lessons I've learned are hard, carved into me by the pain of betrayal and loss. I think back to the man I was before all this, naive, trusting, blind to the cracks forming in my marriage. I was so focused on my work, on providing for our future, that I lost sight of the present, of the woman who was slipping away from me. I can't undo the past, but I can make sure I never lose myself like that again. Lana's betrayal taught me the fragility of trust, how easily it can be shattered by lies and deceit. But it also taught me something about myself, about the anger I'm capable of, the darkness that nearly consumed me. I came so close to crossing a line, to becoming someone I wouldn't recognize. Pulling back from that edge was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but it was necessary. I had to see who I was becoming in order to stop myself. The trial forced me to confront not just Lana and Greg, but my own failings. I wasn't the husband I should have been. I wasn't present, wasn't attentive, and I let the distance between us grow until it was too late to bridge it. That doesn't excuse what she did, but it helps me understand how we ended up here. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but it's the truth, and facing that truth is the first step toward healing. As I walk down the courthouse steps, I feel the weight of the past lifting, ever so slightly. It's not gone, and it never will be, but it's bearable now. I've been through hell, but I survived, and that means something. It means I'm stronger than I thought, more resilient. I have scars, but they're a part of me now, a reminder of what I've endured and what I've learned. There's a part of me that wonders if I'll ever find love again. The idea feels distant, almost unreal after everything that's happened. But I know that if I do, it will be different. I won't make the same mistakes. I'll be more present, more honest, both with myself and with whoever might come into my life. I'm not the same man I was, and that's a good thing. I've grown, changed, and I'm ready for whatever comes next. The future is uncertain, and that used to terrify me. I liked knowing what was ahead, having a plan, a path to follow. But now as I stand here with the city stretching out before me, I feel a strange sense of calm. I don't know what's coming, but that's okay. I'll take it one step at a time, just like I did through the trial, through the darkness. I'll keep moving forward, no matter how hard it gets. I take a deep breath, the cool air filling my lungs, and I feel a flicker of hope. It's small, fragile, but it's there. I've lost so much, but I haven't lost everything. I still have myself, my dignity, my will to keep going. That's enough for now, enough. As I walk away from the courthouse, I think about what lies ahead. There's no clear path, no guarantees, but that's the beauty of it. Life is messy, unpredictable, and that's what makes it worth living. I've been knocked down, but I'm getting back up. I'm ready to face whatever comes next, with all the strength and wisdom I've gained from this ordeal. The city hums with life around me, cars passing, people talking, the distant sound of music from a street performer. It's a reminder that the world keeps turning, no matter what happens. My world was shattered, but it's starting to come together again, piece by piece. It's a slow process, but I'm patient. I've learned that some things can't be rushed. I don't know where I'm headed, but I'm moving forward. That's what matters. The past is behind me. The pain is part of me, but it doesn't define me. I'm more than the sum of my scars, more than the mistakes I've made. I'm a man who's been through the worst and come out the other side, still standing, still fighting. The future is a blank slate, and that's exciting in a way I never imagined it could be. I have a chance to start over, to build something new, something better. I'm not the same man I was, and I'm okay with that. I'm stronger now, wiser, and I know what I want out of life. As I reach the bottom of the courthouse steps, I stop and look back one last time. The building looms behind me, a symbol of everything I've been through, but it's in the past now. I turn away from it, facing forward, ready to walk into whatever comes next. I'm ready to face the future, whatever it may hold. I'm ready to live again, to find joy, to make new memories, and maybe, just maybe, to find love again. But this time, it will be on my terms, with the lessons I've learned guiding me. I take the first step forward and then another, leaving the courthouse behind, leaving the past behind. The city opens up before me, full of possibilities, full of life, and I'm ready for it, ready to take on whatever comes next, with all the strength I've gained from the journey I've been on. The future's uncertain, but I'm not afraid. I'm ready,